Have you ever wondered who formed our education system? Well, the credit can't go to just one person. Many people have played a role in creating the system that we have today. From the ancient societies up until present, the American education system continues to be influenced by people from all over the world. Today, let's focus on our system's European heritage. Are you ready? Let's begin by setting the scene. Since the fall of the Roman Empire, the Catholic Church has been the central authority of society and education in Europe. In 1517, Martin Luther began the Protestant Reformation, which led to new intellectual, religious, and political ideas that were breaking apart the Catholic Church's grip on society. Now, people are starting to reject the authority of the Church and turn to scientific inquiry and natural law instead. These new religious and political freedoms have come at a high cost, and much of Europe is still in various states of social unrest and war. Many have left Europe in hopes that the American colonies will provide relief from religious persecution. It's 1628. We're in Moravia, a region that is now the Czech Republic. It's 10 years into the 30 Years' War, the deadliest religious war of Europe. Poverty, famine, and disease are widespread. Protestants are fleeing from Catholic oppressors. Meet Comenius, a Protestant bishop who fled to Poland due to religious and political tensions. He believed that when the war ended, there would be an opportunity to build a better society through educational reform. He spent much of his life developing the philosophy he thought should shape this educational system. Comenius's philosophy focused on the importance of experiential learning, which should be adapted to different stages of development. He provided the theory of child growth and development, and his beliefs about paideia influenced many other educational leaders to come, including Mann, Pestalozzi, and Dewey. Let's jump ahead 60 years. We've left the Reformation behind and we're now in the Age of Enlightenment, where influential philosophers are questioning traditional authority and believe rational change could improve humanity. Enlightenment thinkers have identified the critical role the educational system could have in spreading their ideas. During this time, improvements in education have led to an increased literacy rate, which increased the demand for printed material. Enlightenment thinkers were there to provide that material. The year is 1689. We are in London. Society fears that Catholicism may be taking over England. Meet Locke, an English philosopher whose ideas were not only the foundation for the American Constitution, but also a large influence on educational theories then and now. Locke's letter concerning toleration was published, promoting religious tolerance as the answer to many of society's tensions. This is credited to leading to the separation of church and state, which has had a profound impact on the American education system and continues to be a topic of great debate today. Fast forward again. The year is 1762 and we are in France, which has just lost its American colonies in the 7 Years' War. Prussia has emerged as a powerful leader in Europe, and Great Britain now has the largest colonial empire in the world. Social unrest is still rampant across much of Europe, and Enlightenment ideas continue to spread. Meet Rousseau, a Swiss-born writer, philosopher, and political theorist. His two most famous works, Emile and The Social Contract, were so controversial at the time, both his writings and he himself were banned from France. Rousseau believed in naturalism and the importance of individual freedom. These beliefs are the foundation for many of our current educational practices and theories. He further developed Comenius's theory on child growth and development, and is known as the father of modern child psychology. Now the year is 1780, and we find ourselves in Switzerland. The American Revolution continues, and soon the French Revolution will begin. These events will inspire yet another Swiss Revolution. As you can imagine, social unrest is still prevalent. Enter Pestalozzi, a Swiss educational reformer who sought refuge from political tensions of his country by going back to nature. He spent nearly 30 years on an isolated estate where he developed many of his ideas. After the French Revolution, Pestalozzi had the chance to reform schools, and he chose to start at the beginning, with the elementary schools. Pestalozzi's beliefs are the foundation of education for the disadvantaged. He is considered the founding father of elementary education, and his methods were some of the first to be formally taught to teachers. He had a big influence on other educators, such as Herbart, Mann, and Bernard. Let's jump ahead to 1802. We are in Prussia, which is present-day Germany. The U.S. has ratified its constitution and added the Bill of Rights. The Napoleonic Wars have begun, so yet again, social unrest in Europe is not improving. Many Europeans are immigrating to America with hopes of a brighter future. They bring with them the ideas of Europe's great philosophers. Meet Herbart. He was a Prussian philosopher and educator who met Pestalozzi while he was tutoring in Switzerland and was inspired to dedicate his life to education. He developed the Herbartian teaching methodologies, which consisted of 5 steps. This method of teaching quickly spread and could be found in classrooms throughout Europe and America. It continues to be highly influential on teaching methods today. The last stop on our journey through time brings us a few years ahead to 1816. We are still in Prussia, but times are changing. The Age of Enlightenment is ending. The Napoleonic Wars are over, and as a result, Prussia has gained resource-rich lands. Prussia is gaining power and moving towards an empire, which will set the scene for the next wave of unrest. Meet another student of Pestalozzi's, Froebel. Froebel was encompassed by Pestalozzi's ideas. He taught at a progressive school modeled off his beliefs and studied under him before opening his own school. Froebel established the first kindergarten, and one of his pupils, Margaretha Schurz, established the first kindergarten in the U.S. Froebel is responsible for creating the foundation for early childhood education, which has become the cornerstone of the American educational system. Whew, that was a lot, so let's review. These years were a time of great political, social, and religious discord in Europe. As the power of the Catholic Church diminished, people turned to natural law and scientific inquiry for answers. Many believed that social reform should start with the education system. Many of those who were not happy in Europe fled to the American colonies, bringing with them the ideas of many of Europe's greatest philosophers. These men had a profound impact on the developing education system in America. The ideas of this time period were the basis for the progressive movement started by John Dewey in the early 20th century. However, later in the century, the focus of our education system switched to one founded in essentialism, and we entered the era of high-stakes testing. As social unrest around this issue continues to rise, we are beginning to see a trend back towards progressivism, and the fundamental theories of these influential European thinkers are appearing in our classrooms yet again. Welcome to my classroom. In here, I'll do my best to recognize the individual differences of students and consider these when developing their path to academic success. I'll aim to educate the whole child. I recognize that methodology is important in student success and will do my best to ensure my lessons are developmentally appropriate. I will use multiple methodologies, including hands-on experiential learning, as well as activities of self-expression. We'll have an open classroom that interacts with the community and experiences real-world problem-solving to develop our critical thinking skills. We will work and learn together. I'll do my best to guide you through the learning process, and we'll work together to make group decisions for our class. Most importantly, I vow to keep the students at the center of my teaching.